Hello, everybody. Just wait some second to let all of you enter. Nice to meet you. I'm Nicola from the Tutorate team. Before start, just some information about this platform for who is the first time here. In the left section, you can see two icons. The first is conversation. It's just a chat when you can write. I just wrote hello. The important thing is that the question should be done in the question and answer section with the so it's easier for the organizer to reply to all the question. Last thing, in the bottom of right, you can find another icon. It's very important to use it just to decide how to see, if you want to see the Stefano presentation, the speaker, and so on. I think that I don't want to talk for more. Just I'm very happy to stay here, and thank Julia, Ayush, and Stefano to be here. I will let the speak to Ayush, and see you later.
So, hello everyone. I'm Ayush, and with my colleague Julia from the Entrepreneurship Club, welcome you all to the second workshop in our series for the Startup E-Challenge 2021. And today we have a very special guest, Stefano Mizio from the PoliHub, Politecnico di Milano's Innovation Park and Startup Accelerator. He is the head of the Startup Acceleration Programs and International Projects at PoliHub, and he is going to hold a explanatory workshop on business model in general and also how to design a business model canvas. As today's workshop is open just for our registered participants of e-challenge, I want to thank you all for being enthusiastic about the challenge. And I'm certain that the session will be very informative for each one of us and help us in formalizing a workable business model out of our initial ideas. Also, the business model canvas is one of the final deliverables for the evaluation. So today's social session holds its own significance. A template for Canvas has already been provided to all of you, all the teams there, and it has 9 blocks. And after today, we hope that each one of us will be able to fill the blocks to the fullest and in the most precise way. I think it is our time to be a hero from the zero, as the title of Stefano's presentation suggests. So without wasting and taking any further time, I would like to request Stefano to take the lead and start with his presentation. During the presentation, feel free to post your questions in the chat, and in between, we will post them to Stefano, and he will be solving your queries and doubts as we proceed. So that's it. I will stop here, and over to you, Stefano.
Thank you very much. I will share my screen, so I hope that you are able to see the screen. We're gonna spend together, 45 minutes together, and as said before, I'm gonna talk about business model particularly. At the end, I will talk more about business model canvas, but I will focus my presentation mainly on the meaning of business model. So when we talk about startups, we can take two different perspectives. We can take what we call the external perspective, which means that we can talk about, let's say, the innovation ecosystem. So taking into consideration the main stakeholders, the universities, business angels, venture capitalists, corporates, accelerator. And then we can take, let's say, what we call an internal perspective, which means that in that case, we focus mainly on what we call the internal success and failure factors. Particularly, I will take this perspective the afternoon. So I'm gonna talk more about the internal factors. Let me start saying that when we talk about startups, we have to realize that as the slide says, that we know more about the Bird Galaxy than how to create the next Google or Amazon. So it's very complicated, very difficult task when we talk about entrepreneurship. And the main reason is because we talk about risk, or maybe as I will say later, we talk about uncertainty. We will talk about technology uncertainty. market uncertainty, and execution uncertainty. So, startups mean risk, means uncertainty. So, before we start, we need to define in a better way what startups, the word startup means. So I'll give you a couple of definitions. I like this definition from Harry Rees, is the author of the seminal book Lean Startups that probably you read. And I mean, from if we uh, 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 take into consideration this definition, I want to just highlight a couple of things. That the startup is a human institution, which means that behind there is a team, and that's a key point. But today, I'm not going to focus mainly on the other part of the definition, which means the extreme uncertainty. So, a startup is a human institution that is designed to deliver a new product services under conditions of extreme uncertainty. So, uncertainty is the main topic. And when I say uncertainty, just to give you a flavor about uncertainty. Here you can see, a lot of things that can go wrong. Technology, your product, the customers, because there is no market, for instance, because you're not able to manage the manufacturing of your product, and you don't have enough capital, and the team is not able to manage what we call the debt valley, and also and mainly, and this is the topic today that I will address, that you don't have a business model that works probably that works well. So those are the factors that you have to take into consideration. Today, I will focus on business model. And when we talk about business model, the best definition that you can find of a startup is from Steve Blank. Is a famous investor in Silicon Valley, and he also is the co-author of a great book, Startup Owner's Manual. And he says that the startups is an organization that is formed to search. So there is a verb for repeatable and scalable business model. So it means that when we talk about startups, we know this thing that we are in the search mode. A startup doesn't have a business model, because once you get your business model, you switch, you end over on the execution stage. And in that case, no, you can, let's say, you can write your business plan, but when you are in the search mode, you need to find the business model. So your business model is your strategy, and this thing changes everything once you are in the search mode compared to the execution mode. And that's exactly the main difference between a startup and an established company. If you are a startup, you don't have a business model. You are looking for a business model. Once you find your business model, you become a corporate, you become an established company, because in that case, the most important thing that can guarantee the success of your initiative. So I like to say that, I mean, when you are when you're launching an innovation project, you have a 10% data and 90%, let's say, unknown. And compared to the, let's say, to the traditional, let's say, world, the ongoing operation, the established company, where you have 90% data and just 10% unknown. So this thing changes everything. If you want to understand if your product, if your project is a startup, and I mean, in the sense that we saw through the definitions that we saw before, you can easily use what we call an acid test. You need to understand how many assumptions you have, and I mean, in fact, and you can calculate what we call the uncertainty ratio. So if you're thinking, if you are on the process to launch a project, it's very easy to understand. If you are, let's say, if you are launching a startup instead of, let's say, a pizzeria. A pizzeria is an entrepreneurial initiative, but a pizzeria is not a startup. Why? Because you have very few assumptions, and you have you have many facts. So this is maybe the simplest way to understand if you are launching a startup instead of, let's say, a pizzeria, or an established project where you have a few assumptions. That say, I mean, in PoliHub, what we try to do is to avoid to avoid the pitfall, to avoid the main problem, that is to fall in love with your product technology. We all are engineers, which means that we love technology, we love products, we love this kind of stuff. But if you fall in love with your product, your solution, that's very risk action. And if I asked you why startups fail, you can think about several reasons behind a startup failure. But if you consider a post-mortem analysis, there is a very famous study that shows that if you consider the top 20 reasons behind startup fail, and there are several factors, several reasons. So that's why if you sum, you have more than 100%. You can see that the main reason startups fail is no market need. No market need, which means that you fall in love with your product, your services. You don't care since the beginning about the market, about the customer, about your business model, and no, that's why you run out of cash. That's also why you go through your debt valley, and no, and your team is not able to cope with the kind of challenges that you face once you are on the debt valley, because you are run out of cash, difficult task. So no market need, mainly because no, you didn't spend enough time thinking about the business model. That's why it is very important to start. The right way. Start from the right building block, the right let's say questions. So what we're looking for, and now in our daily job, is to try to find the right antidote to cope with this problem. So uh, you need to avoid also what we call the China syndrome, which means that having fun with spreadsheet, and that's I like to say, that it happens that I met teams that come to me and say, okay, I have a great ideas. No, we want to sell one the toothbrush to the Chinese people, and we know that they are more than 1.4 billion people. So if we are able to get the 40% or 20% of market share, and now if we charge $1, now we can gain a lot of money. That's exactly the wrong thing. That's exactly the way you don't have to make an accelerator. So because it's the way I like to say, when you talk about the top down approach, it means that you like your map, which means you like your Excel, but you have no idea about their territory, which means that maybe you know nothing about the Chinese. You never went to China. So that's exactly the wrong things that you can do. So as I said before, we need to focus on business model. Why? We need to focus on business model because if we are a startup, we know that we are in the search mode. We know that we need to find a business model. And I highlight the quote for Professor Chesberg from the House School of Business, and he is the father of open innovation. And he says that you can have a great technology, but bad things can happen to good technology. And the main reasons is because you don't have the right business model, to commercialize your technology. That's exactly what we do in PoliHub. We help teams to find the business model. They come, they join hands. They have maybe many cases great technologies, but great technologies means nothing if you don't have the right business model. Uh, I'm sure that I'm sure that you are very young, but at the same time, I'm sure that you know the story of a Blockbuster. Blockbuster was a great company, and it started in its business in 1985, and it started because it started with a great technology, VHS technologies, the video recorder technologies, and when they started, they just exploited a technology, and they built a great business now because you were able to watch a movie on the comfort of your home, but you have to go to the stores. You have to take a VHS back to your home. You see the movie and then go back to the stores. And the problem was that if you were late, you were charged with the late fee. And the story says that the Reed Hastings is the CEO of Netflix. I'm sure that you know very well Netflix. He got pissed off in 1997 because about the late fee. And what Reed Hastings did, he realized that there were a technology, the DVD technology, that were available, and the DVD had a great value because it was very very light. It means that you can mail your DVD and in the envelope, exploiting the postage, the services New has that, as you know, is very, very great and a great company. So it just exploited and established an available technology with different business model because it didn't have to create from scratch, 5,000 stores as a Blockbuster did. It just exploited the fact that the DVD was new technology, it was available, it was very light. So it built a new model where you just exploit an existing technology. That's why the Blockbuster, filed for bankruptcy in 2010, and we like to say that it got Netflixed, and if and in our let's say jargon, we like to say that the established corporates, the risk that they face is in many cases they can get Netflixed, because they can get they can find startups that with the right business model can cause disruption to their existing business model. So, and also maybe again a great example about business model. I'm sure you know very well the iPod, but the iPod was not the first MP3 player. In 1999, the Rio, the Diamond Company launched the Rio, and in 2000 also the Best Data Company launched the Cable 64. As you can see, the particular Rio, it looks like very, it was very similar to the iPod, but the main reasons behind the iPod success was the business model, because in the 1 year after the launch of the iPod, Apple launched the iTunes, and as you probably know very well, what Apple did was to wrap on the iPod a business model, no, where you can buy for no $0.99 music on the iTunes store, and this in this way, I mean, Apple sells you the iPod and then again he build a network of create a network with the studios with the music companies that gave Apple the rights not to sell the music. So what Apple did, it was he invented a new business model on top of a product. So again, you can have a great technology, but if you are not able to build to create a business model, you get lost. And just I mean, if you have a look at the Apple performance, the iPod was introduced in 21 after September 11, where it was very, very, very sad period. And after three, 4 years, here you can see the revenue from iTunes sales and iPod sales. And you can see that after 4, 5 years, the iTunes sales and iPod sales accounted for almost the 50% of revenue generated from Apple. And here you can see the market cap. Okay, so great business model always behind great product. We're looking for great business model. Okay, so far, very quickly, I just described. I mean, I tried to describe the reason why business models are important. Think about Netflix. To think about Apple. But what is a business model? No, we need a definition. I just give you just some definition. And maybe the simpler definition is the way of doing base business. That's very easy, and to some extent, it doesn't have anything. I mean, to some extent, I like this definition. The business model is a company answer to the question how to make money, but in particular, it describes as a system how the pieces of business fit together. And this is very useful definition because if you think about the business model canvas, as we will see, we have 9 main blocks, and these blocks have to fit together in the right way. Okay, and then there is the maybe said this is the most iconic, the most traditional definition. The business model is the story of how you create your company, create value, how you deliver value to customers, and how you are able to capture part of this value. Pay attention. You need to have at the same time these 3 verbs. You need to create value for sure. You need to deliver value, but you need to capture part of this value. Otherwise, you don't have a business. Okay. And the last definition, it's also interesting because it says that it's a process that connects your solution with paying customers. It means that you need someone who is willing to pay you. Okay, so you have business only if you find someone who is eager to pay you for your cost, for your services and your product. So for definition, pay attention particularly on the second one and the third one. I talk about customers. Uh, Let me introduce just a simple way to characterize to define, let's say, some business model archetype, and we can do this just if we are able to define the main actors in a business model. We can have what we call the primary customer, which means that it's the end user. No, is the person who uses the product. And the secondary customer is the economic buyer, which means who makes the final decision to buy, to acquire the product, who pays the bill. Okay, so in some cases, the primary customer and the secondary customer can be the same customers, but in many cases, this is not the case. So, according to the number of actors, you can define different business model. The first business model, I think it is the simpler business model. No, it's you have just one actor. Users and customers are the same. Think about a coffee shop. No, once you enter in a coffee shop, before you enter, you are a prospect. Once you enter the coffee shop, you are the user because you drink the cup of coffee. At the same time, you are the customer because you pay for the coffee, for the cup of coffee. And here you can read different different type of example. So it's very simple. No, just one actor, user and customer, the same. But there are also two more archetypes, business model archetype, because we can have a situation where user and customers are different actors. In that case, we call this business model as a multi-sided business model. For instance, think about Facebook or Google. Okay, I'm sure that we all agree that we don't pay Facebook. No, we don't pay Facebook. But I mean, every year, Facebook generates, I think, I don't know, 40 billion euros in revenue. So that's very amazing. And I mean, but we don't pay Facebook. So my question is, who's paying Facebook? I mean, that's a Facebook exploited a multi-sided business model. No? So and it does it makes money because what Facebook makes is in some way it's through by means of its platforms it creates value because we want to use Facebook. It deliver a value to our to us. I mean through its platform, but we are the user because we don't pay Facebook. I mean, in some way, we pay Facebook, but we pay Facebook with the different money that we call a derivative currency. Our user attention, our data. So what we do, we generate this derivative asset, user attention data, and corporates, firms pay Facebook to get this derivative currency. So corporates are the customers, are Facebook customers. So this is a multi-side business model, and it means that if you want to build your startup exploiting this business model, you have to pay attention because before someone before some corporates some corporate decide to pay you, you need to generate enough derivative currency, which means you need to have many users. You need to cross a tipping point. That's why behind Facebook success there is the decision to give the free access. Facebook never charged us to get the access of its platform. No, because they realized that they were using a multi-site business model, so they needed to cross the tipping point of having enough users before some corporates were eager to pay them for this data. So you need to start from the users, and once you have enough users, you can switch your attention to corporate. So this is the right sequence. A particular case of the multi-site is what we call the marketplace model. the marketplace model, again, you have again, users and customers are different, but think about Airbnb. You need buyers, which means tourists, and you need people that are eager to provide their homes, their studios, no, and so which means that you need to take simultaneously tourists, the buyers, and the studio's owner. So this is the most difficult business model, because you have to take them simultaneously. So you can use this model to define your business model, no, trying to figure out how many actors you have, if you have users, if you have customers, and if the user and customers are the same or not. So this is the first model that we use to define a business model. But I mean, again, before we deep dive on business model, I want just to spend just 5 minutes saying that you need to start from what we call a different perspective, no? And I like this quote from Albert Einstein, who says that, and if I had, it's very famous, so I'm sure that you already met this definition. Or if I had an hour to solve a problem, I spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem, and then 5 minutes thinking about solution. Which means that we need to start thinking about the problem. Which means that if in your mind you have a solution, and probably this is the case if you are in the process to start your own company, uh, what I suggest is say, okay, guys, stop thinking about solution, but let's try to figure out if outside there is someone with a problem that your solution is would be ready to address. And to do this, we use a framework that was the first time defined from a famous professor from Harvard Business School, Theodore Levitt, that he say that people don't want quarter-inch drill; they want a quarter-inch hole. It's a very in some way a very obvious phrase, but behind this phrase there is the jobs to be done approach, which means that uh, customers know we hire always we hire products to get jobs to be done. I mean, we don't care about products. We are looking for solutions to get to address problems. So we always start from this perspective. The jobs to be done, a fundamental problem in a given situation that need a solution, and the solution is exactly not your product and your services. But before you focus on solution, you need to think about the fundamental problem. So and think if you think in terms of job to be done, and I mean, for instance, again, if you think about drill and you think about drill competition, but if you think not in terms of solutions, but in terms of problem, okay, and if you follow this framework, you can realize that, for instance, no, the glue, Gorilla Glue, for instance, or Tio, these products are competitors, because if you think of in terms of job to be done, you can use a drill, or you can use a glue to hang something, for instance. Okay, so thinking in terms of job to be done is the right way. Let me give you some example. Okay, we talk about functional jobs, which means the task that we need to go from A to B. That's our functional job. There are also what we call emotional jobs, which means how customers they want to feel, or how they want to avoid to feeling. And when they do some job, and social jobs, how they want to be perceived. Let me give you a very quickly a couple of examples. I'm sure that you know very well Uber, okay? And I mean, Uber is a unicorn, which means that Uber right now has a market cap of almost maybe $80 billion. No, and that's unbelievable because incredible because Uber it offers services that are very similar to the taxi services. But if you think in terms of job to be done, and you think about the pain points that you have once you decide to get a taxi, and here you can read now the situations that you face. Okay, if you think about this, that what Uber offers is it address emotional job because once you get a Uber driver, you have a sense of control. You know exactly how much you will pay. You don't have to care about the traffic, the road, because the Uber gives you the sense of control. No? So he addressed this emotional job. So you can compare a taxi driver, a company, and Uber. And in terms of functional job, getting from A to B, they offer the same services. But if you think in terms of emotional jobs, Uber provides you the way to cope with emotional jobs. Again, an example. If you have a look on my watch, now this is a G-Shock, and G-Shock cost I think 100 euros. No, if you are if you like watches, if you are interested in buying a Patek Philippe, it costs 30,000 euros and maybe more than 30,000 euros. And if you think in terms of functional job, I mean, the G-Shock and the Patek Philippe, they provide the same functional job. Just knowing you need to know the hour, the right hour. But if you think in terms of a social job, if you have a Patek Philippe, you belong to circle. No, you're rich individuals. You are, say, I don't know. So I mean, that's a social. The way, we are. No, I mean, the way other, think that we are. Okay, so the same functional job, different social job. So here the message is: think about the job to be done, think about the functional job, the emotional job, and the social job. So just skip this. So once you have you thought about in terms of jobs to be done, and I mean, and then you have the solution, putting together the job to be done and the offering, you have what we call your customer value proposition. Okay, the customer value proposition is exactly the way you can answer these three fundamental questions. So how important is the job that the customers are trying to get done? How satisfied are customers with the current solution? You have to think about in terms of competition, and how well your solution is able to cope with the job to be done. Think about recent Uber. It was the Uber was able to cope with the emotional job. So the customer value proposition is the main building block. So you start from the job to be done, and then you move on the solution side. I mean, so once you start with your customer value proposition, you can think later about the key resources and key process and the profit formula. And I will tell you more through the business model canvas. But this is just a sketch to give you an idea about this four fundamental blocks. So the customer value proposition and the other block. So you start from jobs to be done. Then you move to the customer value proposition, and then you move to business model. Very maybe this is a great example. If you think about the Tata, I'm sure that you probably already heard about the Tata. The Tata is a car, as you know. If you think in terms of a job to be done, and sorry, it can be done, the job to be done. Also, the inner motivation behind customers behavior. That's the right definition of just to be done, is providing a safer alternative for scooter families. Okay, so that's the inner motivation. So your value proposition, so is your it's a no the way you offer an affordable, a safer alternative for scooter families. No, that's your value proposition, and your the business model. It means that you remember one of the definition. It's the way all the building blocks fit together. No, you need to think how, for instance, about the processes about the cost structure. No, to make a car affordable. Okay, so job to be done, the value proposition, and then you move to business model. I skip this, you will find. So this is maybe the most famous framework of a business model canvas. Okay, so here you can find 9 building blocks. We start from number one and number two. The number one, you have no your solution. You here you have your features, your products, your services, and on the block number two are the jobs to be done, are the customers, are the archetypes. So these two blocks are the fundamental blocks. And I mean, you have a different blocks. For instance, no, the number four is how you get. I have a slide for this. How you get your customers. You can have a great product, but I mean, nobody cares about the product because nobody knows about your product. So the question is how do you raise the awareness? Okay, the block number three means that you need to understand how to sell, how to deliver your product to customer. Do you want to sell through, let's say, online, through a direct channel, through partners, for instance? Okay, so in this block you have to focus on this questions. Okay, the number five, the number nine on below the model tells about your revenue model. How do you make money? How do you generate revenue? Do you sell once the product, or are you using a recurrent model? Think about, for instance, your electronic wallet, no, on your mobile contract with telco operators. So every month your operator, no, just take 3, 4, 5 euros from your wallet. Okay, and the block number nine tells about the story about your cost structure. Okay, you need to invest money, you need to spend money, you have a cost structure, and the profit formula is you have to in the profit formula you have to balance, understand. You have to generate more revenue compared to the cost. Obviously, no, that's the way. This is the way you can capture part of the value you generate. And I mean, always, no, you are not alone. I mean, which means that you need the partners, you need the providers. So, and the block number six tells exactly this part of the story. No, you need someone that will can help you to build your product. No, because you can decide, for instance, no, in the block number seven, no, what kind of activities are important, are the key activities that you have to focus on. No, if you are, if you are building something, as I said, a software, you will be involved in the software development, or but maybe you can decide to sell through a partner, which means that you need a partner, and you will put the partner on the block number six, and you also will put the same partner on the block number three, because this partner will help you to sell, to deliver your services to your customers. Okay, or you can be involved in the marketing activities, for instance. Okay, so you have to just list all the activities that you think you will manage on the block number 7. On the block number 8, you need to think about the kind of resources that you need. You will need money. You need IP, for instance. You can have intellectual property. You need the people. The team. Remember, the Tata definition is an organization. Which means that that you need the right competences, which means you need the right person in your team. So you see, in through this model, in just 9 blocks, you can describe your all the pieces of your business. And that's exactly what you're gonna do in this challenge. Let me spend more 5 minutes more, just focusing on the first two blocks, so the number 1, the number 2. We call this the value proposition canvas. And the value proposition canvas, here on the right, the why, you can see again the customer jobs that I mentioned before, and also the pains and the gains that right now you think customers are suffering. Okay, you have just hypothesis. So you start from the why, and then you move on the left. This is your offer. This is your customer value proposition. And if you think that our customers have some pains, you have to think about what we call the pain relievers that can address the pains. And again, if you think about the kind of things that you think will provide what we call the gains to our customers, you have to think about what we call the gain creators. Okay, and just to give you an example, think about imagine that you are launching your tax smartphone application. Right? So from the beginning, you think that, for instance, on the right, how customers they have some jobs to be done. You want to call taxi, you want to find taxi, you want to pay. Okay, this is the job to be done, and then you can figure out the kind of pains that right now they have. Remember the Uber case, you can imagine that the customer can have they have to wait a long time. They have to compete with our customers. Okay. So if you think this way, and then you move on the left, you see you can you can think about the pain relievers. Let's say the features. If you think that customers they have to wait a long time, you can build a feature that, for instance, is the instant booking. You see, there is a correlation. There is a strong relationship between the pain and the pain reliever. So this is the process that we use. We start from scratch. We think about the just to be done. We think about the pains. We think about the gain, and then we go back to our solution in terms of gain creators and gain relievers. So this is the process. This is the process that you have to follow if you want to avoid what we saw about the no market need. Okay, and that's the way you can do this through your business model canvas. I just put together the 9 blocks in four main blocks. So you have the customer block, you have the offer, you have what we call the infrastructure, and you have the finance. Through your business model canvas, you can describe your I just want to spend 1 minute saying that please don't forget that what you have from day one is you have just hypothesis. You have hypothesis about customers, about the job to be done. You have hypothesis about your product. You have hypothesis about the way you can sell your product, by means partners or through a direct sales channel. You have hypothesis about your cost structure. You have just a hypothesis. So that's the way. That's why we say that the right approach is what we call learning and discovery culture evidence best entrepreneurship. Get out the building, which means that you can build a great business plan, but customers never work as described in your business plan. Okay, so I went through the presentation in just less than 1 hour. I'm sorry, I know a lot of topics, but my goal was just to give you what I call just a flavor about what business models are and why they are so important in a startup life. So I stop here. I'm available for any doubt, any questions, if any. Thanks for your attention, guys.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for your very inspiring speech. And there we have one first question in the chat, which is so there is Denisa, which says this may sound as a stupid question, but if I may, I just want to say no questions are stupid. So just go. Whoever feels free, whoever wants to do a question, just feel free and do it. And so she was asking, refer to what you explained. Do you think that the business model is more important than the idea itself? Does the business model define the success of your startup or the way you sell your idea?
Okay, so I start from the second question. So the business model is the most important thing. You can have a great product, but if you don't have the right business model, and it takes time. It takes time to get the right business model. I just described what we call the static approach, which means that you just start with your what we call the business model canvas number 0, but at the end of the acceleration, for instance, last time when you met Giacomo Frigo, no, it told you, I'm sure, about switch to product. That is an acceleration platform, which means that you're going to spend 4 months working on your business model. So the business model, you start with your hypothesis and you have to validate the hypothesis. So this is the first, the end. So you need the right business model. And we know that you don't have a business model when you join us and when you tell us about your ideas. And the first question is about the idea, correct?
Yes, it was if it's the business model canvas, the business model which is more important than the idea or the contrary.
Yeah.
And then she was also asking if the business model does define the success of the startup,
Yes.
the start.
Yes, the success means the right business model. There is this correlation. Honestly, we don't care about ideas. I mean, we have a lot of ideas. There's inflation of ideas. We care about execution. Okay, that's the most important thing. For me, ideas just matter for 5%. 95% is execution, which means that you have to be determined. You need to be focused on your idea. And so we love execution.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Stefano, for the presentation. It was very inspiring. We have another question, which is a curiosity from mine as well, that you might have come across thousands of applications in the PoliHub with lots of different ideas. So what is the most common error which you usually find on the business model canvas and in business model in general?
Yeah. Okay. So the mistakes that we found. I mean, don't fall in love with your first business model. As I said before, the business model is just a collection of hypotheses. So you have to validate. We live in a certain world. When I started my presentation, I say, guys, no, it's the definition from Eric Ries is you launch your product services in condition of extreme uncertainty. So we know that there is high level of uncertainty. Otherwise, we are not working with startups. So The most common mistakes is to think that you have the right business model since the day one. That's impossible. So you need to go through a dynamic process. Okay, you need to validate. That said, mainly, I mean, you overlook the job to be done, so you don't think enough about the problem. You start from the solution, and you don't care about the problem, which means that maybe after 3 4 months you realize that nobody cares about your solution. So spend time, devote enough time thinking about the problem. That's the mistake that, I mean, many teams make. They don't devote enough time thinking about the problem. The second mistake is the how to sell your product services. No, you say, okay, guys, we can sell by Amazon online. So no, the most difficult task is selling something. So problem and your sales strategy. I don't know if there was another question before.
Yeah, precisely answers it. Thank you.
I will go with the next question. So Denisa still was asking, which are the factors that make you distinguish a good idea from a bad idea for a startup?
Again, I'm sorry. I have to say that we don't have good or bad ideas, no, because you can have a great ideas, but I mean maybe you don't have the right competences to manage these ideas. You can have an idea to build a new station on Mars, but you are not you don't have the right knowledge to do this. So idea means nothing, no. Because my first question will be, how do you want to build your business on this idea? And you have to show the how, not just the top. Again, guys, forget about the idea. Forget. Offshore, yeah, of course, you need idea, but I mean, idea means that you are curious. Ideas means that you spend time, thinking about, observing, about the reality. You realize that there is a gap. There is something that doesn't work properly. There is a job to be done that the current solutions are not able to address. That's the good starting point. The problems, and then the idea behind the problem, and then you need to find the right resources to build on this idea.
Okay, so if I may, I do a follow-up on this question. Like, for example, staying in this question and talking about, instead of ideas, talking about jobs to be done. There is some jobs to be done which is better than others.
I mean, before I described very quickly, you have three kind of jobs to be done: functional jobs to be done, emotional, and social. I mean, if you can find a job, an emotional or social job to be done, that's a good starting point. Think about Uber, emotional job to be done, because no, as a matter of fact, I mean, no, it's easy to find the functional is a dimension, but it's not enough. Okay, so emotional and social job to be done. If you're working on a technology that can address this the climate change in some way, because no, you have a technology and a hydrogen technologies. No, not yet. This is great. No, the job to be done is also emotional, no, because you are able to cope with the climate change, for instance. So, just to give an example.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
So we have a question from Abhay. He is asking about the Tata Nano project. So, do you think the reason for Tata Nano to be successful, to be not successful, is its untested hypothesis? They targeted the scooter users, but they did not realize that a car is still looked like a luxury or a dream, and not everybody is willing to buy an inexpensive basic version of the car. So
So you mean
all
that
in in India had a very strong emotional connect to the Tata Nano project, the whole 1 billion in population, but still it was an unsuccessful story. So
yeah, I mean, was a great story at the beginning, okay?
yeah,
So, but then they failed. They failed because they were not able to build the right business model. For instance, the cost structure, okay? The cost structure, because now you need to build something that is reliable. So that was, I think the most critical part of your business model. That's a good example. I mean, I cited the example because I like the process. No, let's say you start from the job to be done because the Mr. Tata observed, the reality, the motorcycle way, the India, and so you realize that the job to be done. Then if you focus on the customer value proposition, then you try to build the right business model, the process, the activities. Think about the business model canvas, the cost structure and the revenue model. But it was, I think, it was not able to find the right profit formula. Okay, because if your cost structure is very low, it's great from the they said the profit formula perspective, but you have to guarantee that the car works properly. Otherwise, you build something that is not, I mean, not it's affordable but not reliable. So that's again, I think, a good example of why great ideas fails because they don't find the right business model. So you can start well, but then you fail on the what we call the scale up stage of your ideas. At least this is my perspective on that.
yeah. Thank you.
Example.
So next question is from Manjit. And he is asking if the solution is a new idea which doesn't have a demand as of now, but has a high potential to solve certain problems which are not considered as a problem now. In that case, how do we propose a business model?
Sorry, I'm not sure I got the question. You say the solution. Sorry, can you?
So if the solution, if the idea or the solution is something which is not perceived as a problem today, but which has a high potential to become something which will be needed in the future. How do we present the business model?
Okay. Let me say that the job to be done exists independently from the solution. So we have problems, we have needs since the beginning of our the humankind. I say, okay. So what matters is what we call, because maybe right now there is a business opportunity, maybe because now we have the right technology, for instance, to address this job to be done. Now we got the internet and we got Facebook, for instance. Now we got Amazon Web Services. No, so we are able to do things that were unbelievable 10 years ago, 10 years before. Okay, so problems and needs exist independently, they say. Okay, then we have if you are an entrepreneur, you are a person who is able to see opportunities. Okay, because there is a gap, maybe because you see that there is a underserved customers, for instance. They have some needs, and I mean they are there, but nobody cares because I don't know, for many reasons. Because it costs a lot, or maybe because established corporates, they have they are focusing on the different kind of cluster of customers. So needs and jobs to be done exist independently from the solution. But now you are here, you are an entrepreneur, and you say, guys, now we know that there is a need, but we have the right solution, or we can build the right solution because now we manage technologies, or I don't know, for any other reason.
Perfect. Thanks.
A few people are asking for some books or reading recommendations from you in order to understand business model and business model canvas as a whole better.
Yes, let me see if I have okay, I can then I share the presentation. I share again my slide. Let me see if you can see. If you wait a minute. Oh, yes. Okay, this one. Yeah, I'm sure you can see my screen. Can you see?
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Here you can find uh, just a list of great seminal books. I suggest the Disciplined Entrepreneurship from Bill Olet, is a professor from MIT. I think that this is the best book on entrepreneurship. If you want to focus on I said the job to be done, the value proposition canvas. You can have you can take the value proposition design. That's also a great books, and the startup owners manual. It's a great book, but they say it's honestly it's complicated. It's like a Bible. It's a very difficult. I mean, it's more technical book. So, Disciplined Entrepreneurship from Bill Olet and The Value Proposition Design, I think, are two books that you can buy if you want deep dive more on this topic. Okay, I think that.
Yep. Thank you. And I just had one curiosity that we are still haven't reached out a stage where we can say that we are structured or as working as a startup, but we are in initial stages of the ideas. So in the business model canvas, whether all the 9 blocks become equally important for our case, or there are few blocks which hold much more higher priority and who
Yeah.
should focus more.
Block number one, number two, the customer value proposition, CPP. Okay, these two main blocks are the blocks that you have to focus on when you start your project. No, because you start from job to be done, and then so customer side, they said the why, the reason why they need something, and the what, your product, your solution. No, the number one, the number two are the main blocks.
I think we don't have any further questions. Julia, you can want to add something?
I just wanted to ask if you have some extra experience that you think would be valuable for the listeners to know. For example, of some startup that presented to you and that had, like, for example, how do you say, for example, something which worked quite super well, or something that was a disaster.
Okay, yeah, not disaster. I mean, first of all, I want to say that we respect and I respect all the teams. I mean, you deserve respect because you tell us your ideas, as you said before. There are no silly, no stupid ideas, no stupid projects. So respect is the first thing. So never disaster. I mean that's I mean, you just when you start your project, as I said before, we know that you have hypothesis. So don't worry about this. Uh, uh, I like the team. I like the team. I like the way they pitch their ideas. I mean, I like the humility. Humility. No, say, okay, guys, we know that we don't know. Okay, we know that we have hypothesis. We are all engineers, so we think that we are the best person in the room. No, but this is not the case when we talk about uncertainty, when we talk about innovation. So being humble is the most important thing because you have to learn, you have to go through the what we call the dead valley. So that's my final advice. Be humble. Prepare, do your homework, but I mean be humble. That's I think the most important thing that I like it.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. It was a really pleasure being here. So I hope to see many projects.
Yes, actually, we have a very high attendance to the startup challenge, and we can't wait to go on with these webinars that are coming. Also, next Friday we have another event about pitching.
Great.
And also, if you want to join, super.
I'm
If you have,
sorry.
I don't know, you will be busy.
Thank you very much for your invitation. But I will be at the final event for sure. The 31st of May.
Just a heads up for all the teams that Stefano will be one of the juror in the final pitching. So prepare a good and spend some time on the business model canvas if you want to get some funding and
focus
acceleration tips from PoliHub.
The job to be done. Focus on job to be done, please.
Exactly. So now they know that jobs to be done are something.
It's the most important thing.
Exactly. And so thank you very, very much for this speech. And I think it was very exhaustive, and you said a lot of things. Also, a lot of suggestions about books, which are, I mean, some of them I didn't know. So thank you very much. And it's always nice to hear something new. And yes, so thank you also, guys, who attended. I don't know if anybody has another question, last minute question that they want to do. Otherwise, hope to see you next Friday. And thank you again, Mizio, and grazie mille. And guys, be prepared because the challenge will be very hard. We have a lot of teams competing, and so do your best.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye, Stefano.